My name's Pete Myers. My friends call me Mr. Accountability. If you're like I am, you love data and its power to analyze situations, solve problems, and tell a story. So when I started doing research for my upcoming book, Accountable, I came across this rather interesting graphic showing the usage of the word accountable over time. And I couldn't help but to try to understand why its use dropped so dramatically and why it has now risen so steeply. Well, here's my theory. As the Industrial Revolution of the 1700s continued to gain momentum, more and more people were directly benefiting from the economic growth. Jobs were being created, generating societal wealth and an overall improvement in living standard. The quality of life was going up dramatically. So people turned a blind eye to the environmental and social impacts for the sake of progress. And we really weren't holding anyone accountable. Top-down management flourished. That lack of accountability hit rock bottom in this period from the 1930s to the 1950s. That's what people like Donald Trump like to refer to as the good old days, a period when companies and governments did whatever they wanted with no regard for social or environmental impacts, and no recourse for those stakeholders impacted by their actions. But once people started to acclimate to a middle class lifestyle after World War II, they and their children started to demand more social, environmental, and fiscal accountability from corporations and governments alike. When I was a kid, it was protests against the Vietnam War and race riots in Detroit that started to demand more accountability. And now, 40 years later, every day I read another article about the need for better police accountability, better government accountability, better corporate accountability. And although we have consistently demanded increased accountability, most organizations still struggle to get out of this valley of no accountability to embrace a more sustainable management and leadership model. So what's holding our institutions in the past? What's keeping them in this valley of no accountability if society wants more accountability? In a word, leadership. Perhaps now, in a time of unprecedented demands for justice and equality, people will turn their focus to the root of our current social problems, the need for improved culture within our corporations, our governments, and our educational institutions. We need to create safe workspaces free of bullying and toxicity where people's ability to perform is enhanced, not restricted. And we can only do this by committing to the creation of a more accountable culture. Today, we need every leader to create a new perspective on sustainability and a focus on creating a more powerful and accountable execution network. If you're committed to this journey but need a guide, call me. I'd be happy to share the route I've used to achieve peak accountability and peak performance. Thank you.